Hi, welcome back to our podcast, the Solution Prescribers podcast. We're glad you've joined. My name is Moises, and I'm excited about today's topic because it's about the power of the success stories or of testimonials. And as we visit practices or as we speak with providers, I mean, it's always great to hear the success stories of their patients and how much patients love the practice or love the clinic, love the providers because of how their life has changed. And in fact, I was at a clinic yesterday and I was speaking with a gentleman who had just been through a transformation with that clinic, and he had mentioned that he had been working out for years and years and years, and he had been trying to lose some weight, and he thought he was eating right, he thought he was working out right, and then after he met with this provider, this doctor, he's located in San Antonio, his life changed, and he was at 240. He went from being 240. He's about my height, about 5'6", 5'7", 5'7", running up. He went from 240 to 150 competing. He's competing in these physique competitions, and it's just been a complete lifestyle change, all because of meeting with this doctor, with this provider. And it's been a consistent 3 years now that he goes up in weight a little bit whenever he's not competing, and then he's like at 5% body fat or when he's competing, and he's living the life he wanted to live that he was not able to until he met that provider. And he's just such an evangelist of her. And I love hearing these stories and these success stories of our providers and clinics that we work with. And I'm sure you, as you work with patients and in your clinic, and as you work with your patients, you have your own success stories that you're very excited about, that you've taken some before and afters. And the reality is that success stories increases the engagement with your patients as you're speaking with them. When you tell the stories, or when you tell the success stories, I should say, it's a way to activate the brain of your clientele, of your patient, of your listener, and help them remember things that they by telling the story, you can plant ideas. You're able to create some thought for them. You're able to ignite emotion, provoke emotion. And so having success stories is important when you're speaking with your patients or with your clients, and not only when you're speaking with them, just overall, altogether, just all over the place. And here are some main points, some 3 reasons why having sharing success stories are important for you as a clinic. Number 1, they provide brand credibility of your practice, of you and your practice. So brand credibility is important, and having those stories those success stories are gonna say, okay, they do know what they're doing. They obviously know what they're doing because here are the success stories, not just the service works, because sometimes we provide success stories of the device or the service or the product, and we go, yeah, the product works, but do you as a provider in a clinic know how to get to that end goal? Do you know how to get your patients to get those results? So sharing success stories, your own success stories, provide that brand credibility for you, your patients, for you and your clinic, excuse me. Number 2 is they highlight the satisfaction of your clients and your patients. So it allows the patient, first of all, the patient has an epiphany that they become a success story. So just like this patient I just shared his story about, he's an evangelist of that clinic and of that doctor. So it provides that evangelistic emotion, if you will, that they're going to be promoting you, and they realize I am a success story, and they become very proud of the road they've walked with you. And it shows also the prospect, okay, their patients, they do know what they're doing, and the patients are happy about the results that they're providing. And then number 3 is that they engage your prospects. They engage your prospects in the conversation to discover more. They go, okay, I see the results, the clients are happy, let me see if this can actually work for me. So it sparks all that they want to engage, to discover more about you, your clinic, your services. So those are the 3 reasons, the 3 main reasons why we must understand, or we must be sharing our success stories with our patients and our prospects. Now, research has shown, interesting enough, research has shown that over 70% of our prospects are looking for evidence. They're looking for proof. They're looking for testimonials. They're looking for success stories. And so they may ask for it, right? They may say, do you have any before and afters? Is there anything that you want to share with me? And they may ask you those questions, but sometimes they're not. They're just listening and they're going, okay. And then they may take some time to want to do their own research to see, okay, I'm going to get on their website. I'm going to read their reviews. And they want to do their own research, and then they'll make a decision. So sometimes they say, okay, let me think about it. And really, let me think about it is like, let me kind of test this through. Let me see what evidence is out there that proves to me that you actually can do what you say you're going to do, or that your clients are happy. Let me read do you have 5-star rating? Do you have a 3-star rating? Is it 4.5? Whatever it is. But they want to do some research. So it's our responsibility, as experts in the industry, it's our responsibility to share with them those success stories, and not just success stories of the product and what other people have done. Your own success stories; those are the most powerful ones. The one that you did yourself, like my patient. This is the result of my own patient, not just of the before and afters that sometimes our vendors or our providers give us, and which is great at the beginning, but on the long term, you want to have your own success stories. And so, what are some of the form of success stories that you can have? And there's different ones. You can obviously have the pictures. That's very common in our industry to have the before and after pictures. You can also have written testimonies or written success stories where they say they write a little blurb of what they're excited about or where you took them, and then they have their name at the very bottom or their initials at the bottom. You can also have videos of them sharing their own story, and those are awesome because you can also use that in your social media. You can put them on your website, and you can put them on the TVs in your lobby, which we'll talk about in a minute. Or the reviews. The reviews also become success stories. So if somebody's happy, please encourage them to write a review, because that becomes success story over success story over success story. When we're looking for the reviews, we're looking for evidence of success. And so encourage your patients to leave reviews. Now, some things that we can do to make sure that we're giving the success story, it's worth, that's credible, that's attractive, is don't just share the before and afters. Before and afters are great, but don't just share the picture. Share the story behind it. Provide the timeline. Man, this happened in 3 months, or provide information that she was not very happy here and now she's really excited. Like give some context to that before and after. Don't just share the before and after and then have them try to figure out the context of that before and after. You share it. You provide that story. Okay. Make sure that also when you're sharing the stories, make sure the success story is tied and relevant to what they're looking for. So if somebody is looking for pain relief, share a success story of pain relief. Don't share a success story of prestige. I remember hearing a success story once in evidence that they talked about a service, and they told me, hey, what this means to you is you're going to be able to get some great results or whatever that was. But then the evidence had nothing to do with my story. It was a success story of the clinic, but it was not a success story that was relevant to me. So make sure that your success story is tied into what they're looking for. If I'm looking to remain youthful, then you talk about a success story of somebody who's been able to remain youthful because of that. If you're talking about shame and somebody who doesn't want to have shame anymore, then you share a success story of somebody who had shame and no longer had shame because of the service. And that's gonna resonate with them. That's what they're looking for. If you share a different success story that does not connect with their own story, they're going to want to do some research to see, but are there people like me? Are there people like me? Okay. And that actually takes me to the next one is when we share success stories, here's a tip. When people are looking for success stories, oftentimes we use ourselves as an example. And so we go, I also had that. Or they say, I had adult acne. Me too. I had a lot of hair. Me too. Or whatever it is, I had whatever that pain is, I had a lot of wrinkles. Me too. And we always use me. And it kind of takes away the spotlight from them to you. And they're like, well, I'm here for a consult about me. I don't want to hear about you. And so there's a fine line of sharing your own experience when somebody's coming in. And so one key element as you are sharing these success stories is use the herd mentality. And that is, a lot of patients have done X, Y, and Z, or we meet with a lot of patients, and share somebody else's story in your clinic, in one of your patients that went through something similar. And then after you share somebody else, you can include yourself in that group and say, by the way, I also had that situation. And then that now you become more of an evidence that there's a lot of people, not a competition of, I have it, me too. I've got this. Well, me too. I also had it. And that's not the goal, to take away their spotlight, but to keep the spotlight on our patient. And the way that we can remain that while sharing success stories is by sharing success stories of others in that situation. So you are the provider of research. You're the one sharing the research. And then you can add yourself if you want to as additional evidence to that story as well. And so when we share the before and after, share the story behind it. When we are talking about the success story, make sure it's connected to the patient's pain or their desires of their roadmap. And when we're sharing the story, avoid making your story the first story you share. Share somebody else's story and then include yours as well. Now, the question that we get asked often is when? When do I share these success stories? Always. Where? Everywhere. So always and everywhere. So you can share success stories, whether it's at your front desk, whether it's in the back office as they're rooming, whether it's your provider as you're recommending a service and they're sharing the story, whether you're educating your client and then you want to share how that's going to apply to them. You can share a story, providing evidence that it is going to work. Everywhere. You share it everywhere. And the idea is that it's also shared on your website, it's shared on your social media, that it's constantly sharing. And make sure as you share stories that your team knows the stories, because sometimes it's been interesting how clinics, some providers know the stories and other people on the team have no idea of success stories, and they don't know what to share because they don't know the outcome because they're not in the room. And so make sure that as a group we collaborate and we share with each other the success stories, whether it's during our huddles or whether it's during our staff meetings, whenever that takes place. And also let's make sure that our stories are new. Let's remain relevant. Let's not just use last year. How about last week? How about yesterday? How about 2 weeks ago? Let's keep it. Let's be relevant and in the industry, that we continue to see success stories. We didn't just have one success story and that's what we're writing for the rest of our existence. We can use that one if we like it, but then let's make sure we have other ones that we can use that are very recent, because that's going to make sure that they say, okay, so they weren't just good, they're still good, and they still know what they're doing. And so once again, this is the power of sharing success stories and testimonials. Your patients are looking for evidence. It builds credibility for you and your practice. It creates that satisfaction, highlights that satisfaction of your patients, creates evangelists, and it also engages your prospects to want to find out more about you, your services, and your team. So as we go out this week, as you go out and visit with your patients, let's share these success stories. Let's pepper it throughout our conversation. Don't just wait for them to ask it. You can share it at the beginning. You can share it during the conversation. You can share it at the end of your roadmap while you're giving your offerings, everywhere, at any time. Thank you so much for joining, and we're looking forward to hearing your success stories. Share with us your success stories of your clinics and how you've been able to help your patients accomplish their goals and be triumphant. Thanks for joining.